Hello and welcome to the All About Pigeons podcast. I'm Phil.
And I'm Chris.
Today we got with us the former president, former fly director, and current publishing editor of the N.B.R.C, the National Birmingham Rollers Club, and the VSRA, the Vegas Strong Roller Association's coordinator, Don Macauley. Don, thanks for coming on and talking with us today.
And I appreciate it.
Let's hear a little bit about the kit that you're flying, and I know that you're part of a roller club right now. So did you get a chance to compete for the cup this year?
Yeah, I got a chance to fly in it. I retired the end of April, and now that I got all the time in the world, I moved out here outside of Vegas about 25 miles, and it's been pretty nice except last spring. And then this spring was terrible. The Falcon just brutalized me. I couldn't even, I couldn't compete. I didn't have any backup. I was down to about 18 good birds. I wasn't even going to fly them for the World Cup. I wasn't going to risk them because my breedings haven't gone well the last several seasons. So I had no backup, but I did try to get them ready, and I did lose. I lost about a third of them by the time the fly came. So I was putting in some filler birds, and some of the Falcons' fault, some mine. I had them. The kid had been left together, males and cocks and hens, since November. I hadn't been flying them, and there was a couple of hens that were eggy that I shouldn't have flown, and this and that. Just poor management and just not competitive. I got 59 points, and Marlon Garnett, he won our region with 93. None of us put up a very competitive kit, but he may do well in the finals. He flies on Thursday or Friday, but I eked out second place, so I get a few master flyer. I'm not getting any honor, so I'm trying to get that lifetime achievement. I think I have about 1,100. I think I got about 400 more points to go. I'm going to have to win. I'm gonna have to do good in the finals. Yeah, I did fly. Like I say, we had a good time, but I just really sort of disappointed. I have no backup. The direction I've gone with my breedings the last several seasons just hasn't worked out for me.
What are you working with right now?
Well, I've had what I call my max rollers, which is really it's a lot of the reed stuff from the high desert. We've been successful with several of us here. From Willie Wright and Manny Marino. I think it's because they've cultivated those families for so long in the similar conditions as us. I think that's why they do well here. Yeah, I've tried the South Africans looking for the big teamwork. I really had the Masons. I just didn't commit to them. I've never been a breeder of birds. That's what I'm trying to do now. I had the Yolettes originally when I got in the pigeons. I won't get into that story. That takes a long time to tell. That was inadvertent. But I went back to the Donalette birds and the Ritter birds when I moved out here. They've been doing great with them, but I just can't figure out to fly them. And I used to fly them pretty good back when, but right now I can't fly them. They fly too fast, and I just can't manage them. And I'm getting no percentages of roll. They're birds directly from Mark and Don, and they do great with them. So I'm not doing the birds justice. I'm not blaming the birds. It's not their fault, But so now I'm going back to my old stuff, which fine and dandy. But now I let them sit for three, and now they're getting old, so the production's been pretty poor. I just started breeding late too, so it's hot. Sort of a reload year for me, but the Alette birds and their Ritter birds too. Mark, the spin in those birds is second to none as far as I'm concerned. Over the years, what I've seen in the air, I've seen great pigeons from several families, but overall, those birds are just the true spinners. Trying a little bit of Alan Weaver stuff because we were at the convention there in Arizona, and he flew a nice kit that's worked an hour and stayed a good height. And again, I think the conditions there are similar to ours, and I think that's a big factor. You bring a bird from the Great Lakes area, and they might do great there, but to get them to adapt. And I've got a little bit of the Irish birds I'm starting to play around with, but that'll be a next season project. Everybody's after the flavor of the month, whoever's winning.
That's right. Yeah, someone else we talked to was talking about getting into them birds.
I saw the Brian videos. There was the people that claimed that his score was falsified and blah, blah, blah. That was a whole nother story, but I watched it a number of times, and I've seen a few of his more, and I just, videos are tough to watch pigeons, but I like the uniformity of his birds, how they roll together and look clean and out of the roll. And land those Irish birds when Scott Loffer first got them, and then Scott got sick, and I never really got him. I'm trying to become a breeder. I've always gathered birds and flown them instead of. I've bred good birds, but never had a focused program. So that's my goal now. So
that's me. I'm not much of a breeder. I don't
Yeah, I just haven't focused on it and made my own family. I call them max rollers. They could be a little bit of this and that over time. The best kit I ever flew finals was a hodgepodge kit. They were $5 auction bird, this bird, that bird. So I was pretty proud to get that out of that group, but I don't recommend that's not the way for people to go. Yeah, but yeah.
Well, you said something where you said you didn't think you were doing the line justice. I think that can happen. Uh,
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
flying two different bloodlines. Fortunately, I stuck with one program and found out that the other bloodline just wouldn't work with my regimen.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
it's tough. Yeah, I mean, they got to adapt to your management. That's why I tell the new people, when you get a great pigeon and you're new, it's probably even greater than you think, because no matter how poorly you managed it, it still stood out. So,
sure.
but no, it's tough. I always, yeah, I don't blame the birds. I mean, now I have bought. I mean, I've got a string of bands that is a mile long of auction birds and raffle birds and birds I've acquired over the years. And well, why do you got all these bands if they were not as bad as it used to be? But gotten some junk out of auctions from some pretty good flyers that was told to me to be good birds that wasn't, at least when I put them in the air. But I don't see that as much, as back then. And maybe it was a good bird at their house. Again, you never know, until you.
It's always the
But
best bird at there.
yeah,
Yeah.
I try not to bring anything without flying it. I tell people when I get their auction birds, well, I'm going to fly it and see, but the prices have gone a little, not
It's
crazy,
getting awful
but
expensive to fly them.
these internet auctions, I thought it would be an oversaturation. There's an auction every month now, they're booked up to 25 for these club auctions on the N.B.R.C site. But they're still they're bringing in more and more money. It's not that the birds aren't worth it, but I'm not going to spend 200 for a pair of birds and then pay $80 to get it to my house, shipping and box, and then put it in the air. Before I could do that for maybe might be able to do it for $50 a bird or something. So
Oh, for sure.
I just got to make my own. It's time to make my own. So
I tried to buy a pair of Allen Weavers. Man, they went just sky high.
you might have been bidding against me on that one. Yeah, I bought a pair at the Arizona convention, another pair off the auction, and then Georgia Rez here had a pair. I got those, and they talked to Alan. I think me and my friend TJ here, between the two of us, we've got, I think, 6 pair that we just last season started out. Had some good preliminary results with them.
Oh yeah.
Of course, I've got them sitting right now. I'll breed those in the winter. I can breed year round. Again, I just liked what I saw over there, and just again the environment's similar. So yeah, I really didn't need to bring any more birds. And I even thought about flying them this spring, and I said, no, that'd be stupid. So they are young enough to put back in the air, and they all were flown out. I believe Alan when he tells me he doesn't sell squeakers, and not gonna let a bird go that he doesn't feel could go in his stock loft. He doesn't sell a lot of pigeons. Got fortunate because he was going on vacation and wasn't going to compete that flag season, so I got a few more pair from him. So
Yeah, very cool.
Nice.
yeah, everybody I've met, that's done well in the finals and World Cup and the Nationals, these champions, every one of them's got a small program. I like Mark Ritter, 8 to 12 pair of pigeon. All these guys, Rick Shoney, all these guys, that come through, they've just cultivated their pigeons. Look, Brian McCormick, breed about 40 birds a year. Mark Ritter, 35, 40 birds, and that's all they need, which would be nice. But,
That's what I hope for.
yeah.
40 to 60 is probably all I ever want to breed.
Yeah, yeah, I'd like to breed 2, 3 young kits, and have a couple holdover kits and maybe a yearling kit. I got 7 kit boxes, and I'm getting rid of 1, so I'll have 6. And that's what I'll have room for. So,
well, I've just about got a pretty good 20 bird kit. All but 2 of my birds I flew in the 11 bird kit were Allen's.
oh yeah,
And they worked out really nice.
yeah. Well, that's what this last year, the 11 bird fly. I peaked my team out, and I had a really nice team. Actually, I won both our 20. I gave the 20 bird finals for the N.B.R.C to Marlin because his kit was much better, teamwork wise. But I just beat him that day, and my 11 bird kid could have won the whole thing if they had their day, but I think the winner had 299 and I had 205, and they stopped rolling the last 8 minutes. So at least I knew, at least I got the best out of them and felt I could be competitive. Where right now I just don't, I'm not competitive. This will be our 5th year flying against the CSRA, California Spinner Roller Association. We call it our fellowship fly. So we fly with them in a month. They fly one weekend and we fly the next weekend, and it's tied 2-2. So this is the tiebreaker year, and we have a cup. Whoever wins it gets to keep it for the year, and that's the Willie Wright, Alton Davis, Steve Smith, Manny Marino, old high desert group over there, part of them that we fly against. So it's a lot of fun trying to save face and have something competitive by then. I don't know how, but I'll try.
What's your fly program look like a week out before you do a competitive fly?
I usually fly in old birds. I've never really flown young birds in competition once I got established. So the old birds, the biggest thing I was doing wrong was flying them too much. Think I was flying them into shape, and they start, the old pensum lines, they tend to go high. I'm getting them too fit. So usually a week out, I'm hoping to maybe fly them twice during that week, maybe 3 times if I have to. Depends on how they're doing. About 3 weeks out, I try to get them just flying, 30, 40 minutes, fairly active. I call them maintenance flies, just keeping them in shape, and then about 2 weeks out, I start working on, trying to get their activity up, getting them fit, keeping the quality up, have them on target. I sort of do like the Monty and Evil yo-yo system. I do use 14% mix, which is high-end protein. I'll cut it with Milo and sometimes wheat. I haven't been able to be successful flying birds. A lot of people use wheat as a staple. All the conventions I go to, almost everybody, wheat's their staple. A lot of the top flyers, I just haven't been able to make that work for me for some reason. Just haven't stuck with it long enough. Find that magic formula. So it's just telling. Marlon called me today, and Will Stenhouse had flown today, and he called. He only got 11 points, so he was disappointed. But I said, well, that's how pigeons are. But we were talking about, well, geez, Don, you've been in the finals a lot. I said, yeah, but I've only remember maybe 3 times where I had the birds respectable and ready where they should be. And a lot of times it's the weather, but most of the time it's just my management. So these guys that can consistently be ready for the finals like that, my hat's off to them. It's tough. Everything has to be perfect to do well, and only one thing has to go wrong. So but yeah, it's just a mix, and then I cut it with Milo. Milo's my adjustment feed. I can get the frequency out of my birds right away with Milo. The only problem with Milo is that your quality will go away real fast too, quality of spins. So again, I'm still trying to play around with the white wheat instead of the red wheat a little bit, but still haven't found that magic formula. Pretty much can be respectable on flight. I'm pretty happy with what I've been able to do, but to have them, well, geez, you should have been here 2 weeks ago. I peeked them out too soon. Sometimes you have that monster fly leading up to the fly, and
Right,
it's like,
yeah.
I've seen a lot of that.
Yeah, so it's tough. That's what Marlon was talking about. How am I going to get 20 minutes out of my birds? And I tell him, man, you're flying them too much, Marlon. He flies them all the time, and right now they're on target. He had quite a few breaks the last 2 days, and I said, well, I'm not going to tell you what to do with your birds, but you're asking me, so I recommend you rest them. You probably got them peaked out right now if you're getting that many breaks out of them, but that's up to you. You have to manage your birds. The only problem with your birds sit for 4 days. Sometimes they come out hot, or you get a few out birds. Takes them a while to, settle back in. And these guys that consistently do well in the finals, my hat's off to
I
them.
fly mine first thing in the morning before the fly.
Yeah.
Nah.
Well, I've seen guys do that. I just flew them last night. They were great. Okay, well, there you go.
I'm on the other end of the world for them, so
Yeah.
I fly last.
Yeah.
I got plenty of time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the other challenge too, is you want to you want to be fair and give everybody equal fly time, especially here in the desert where it's so damn hot. The first couple kids get a good time, and then it's hot. But
I train appropriately for it.
yeah.
So
Yeah, well, that's it. I fly the birds. I don't fly them when it's 100 degrees, but Usually you got to get up early or fly right in the evening,
Yeah.
to try to get the flies in. Just really, like I said, I got too serious about it for a while and started wearing too many hats with the N.B.R.C. And so I burned myself out a little bit on that. I was happy to be the publishing editor. I figured I could handle that. And it's frustrating a little bit because of the contributions, but at the same time, you took the job and you do it, so
Well,
you know.
let's talk a little bit about that. So you had mentioned that you don't get very many submissions.
No, I get, of course, the officers submit theirs, and I tend to be long-winded anyway, so my article is usually a little longer, and, but there's like Peter Ott that sent me some nice articles, Color Genetics, a series of articles, and just a lot of work. Dave Henderson sends me some stuff. I get some stuff here or there, but again, I was going to sort of put a challenge out to the RDs, but don't want to put anybody on the spot. It's just RD is a tough job as it is. It can be a tough job and can be a thankless job at times. But I feel if they can go on the internet and post all those pictures, they certainly could spend a half hour, type something up and email it to me, but that's their choice. So I'm learning, well, that's my source, and I try to
What do you
stick to N.B.R.C Facebook because that's our club page. I do take some stuff off the other pages.
right? What are you looking for? Like marketing type stuff or fly
Yeah,
reports or
well, I
what?
like to, yeah, what's going on in your region, the Virginia Roller Club, they send me stuff pretty consistently during the fly seasons. Yeah, what's going on in your region? Fly reports, of course, and then how do you feed your pigeons? How do you breed? Have more and more respect for Bob Simpson, my predecessor. He did the bulletin for years, and but I'm not going to fill it with 20 pages of pigeon medicine stuff. I'm not going to do it. People aren't going to read it. It's boring. Now I do some medical and supplement stuff because it's beneficial. How do you feed? What do you give your birds? But I don't want to fill. Bulletin has to be done in 8-page increments. So if you send in 92 pages, you're going to have 4 blank pages, because it's printed in 8-page increments. So 96 is the minimum, and that's what I've been putting in there mostly. Membership issue, I think I had a couple that I put a little more in there, but I'm not going to fill up a bunch of pages, with just to fill them up. But yeah, just really what's going on in your region, trying to get some of the people that don't compete. What's going on in your with you backyard flyers? Yeah, what's going on lawn shows? Just people like to they like to see pictures of themselves in the bulletin and see their name in the bulletin. Some people say they don't care, but we all like to be stroked a little bit, so it's nice to see your picture. And I always, like I say, I always put every flyer in my region a little story about them so people know who they are. And, it's people can look at a zero all they want, but that guy might have had the best kid of the fly and just had bad luck, or a falcon or something, so yeah, anything, just pigeon genetics, how to build kit boxes, lofts, how you feed, like, how do you prepare your birds for a fly, and I'd like to reach out and interview more people myself. I need to do a better job of that. I started at the top of the list with Hall of Famers. I did get Donna Led in interviewed, and a couple of the other ones I haven't been able to get interviewed. But yeah, just what's going on in the roller hobby, what's going on in your area. People like that. And then, we've got 16 pages of color. So I try to, get all the pictures I can in there, the group photos and stuff. It's tough because they have to be, those pages have to be back to back. So, you don't want to use up 2 pages of color for a bunch of text, the article. And then, so I have to put in there, see page whatever for the photos.
Must ran out of pictures. You put that guy on the front page.
Yeah, trying. And then, a couple people have sent me something, and Jay Yandel sent me their the Carolina triad burn off they do for years, and I saved it, but I put in my 23 file instead of 24. So this last bulletin, I missed it. By the time I reached out, it was too late. So I felt bad because I'm begging for stuff, and the guy that sent me something I didn't get in. So it's too late for their event, by the time it gets in the next one. So I'm trying to get a little bit more organized in that, learning how to, make the photos look better and just the formatting. Again, I'm not a big computer guy. For World Cup, I figure, gosh, if we got 20 regions flying, hopefully I get 20 fly reports, even if it's just the fly report scores, at least people see the scores. The N.B.R.C flying World Cup, and then you have the membership issue, with fills a lot of pages.
Heck yeah, I'm trying to follow it on the World Cup fly page and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff and through the N.B.R.C, but it's nice to have that quarterly too.
Yeah, so it's just trying to work with Kevin Monroe. Took over the World Cup for North America. I was doing that too, and just didn't want to do it again. And Tony Houghton took over for Adrian Gasparini, who'd done it for years. So they're both good guys. I featured them on this issue that's coming out. I think people should be starting to get it now. I believe featured Kevin and Tony, but trying to get the RDs to fill out that Excel spreadsheet and send it in the same format is challenging.
So with the VSRA kind of being, you said that's about a 4-year-old club. It's kind of a newer club. What kind of challenges do you guys have with it being a newer club or maybe a smaller club? And how are you guys getting growth in there?
Well, that's the challenge. There is the growth. We haven't had any new guys stick for a number of years. We've had a few. They're just, and not everybody. It's not a competition club. So when a few of us competitive guys get a little frustrated, I have to remind everybody, hey, we all have our pigeons for our own reasons. The guy wants to, sit in his backyard and let the birds eat on the ground and feed them and fly up and down from the roof. Hey, great. That's what they have the birds for. You can't force everybody to be competitive,
How'd you know that's what I do?
Yeah.
You're giving
Yeah,
Chris's secrets away here.
Come
Yeah,
on
that's
now.
it. That's
Come
what you have the
on.
birds for. You have the birds for your enjoyment, and this guy's breeding this color or that, all that kind of stuff. That's what they have the birds for. So we just don't have any growth. We were growing pretty good, but the guys come and go. I don't know. Vegas is a tough town. Some of these guys come and you want to fly pigeons here, you got to get up early. So you can't be out gambling and partying, if you want to fly rollers here,
Oh, that's a drag.
yeah, you got to be up at the crack of dawn, and it's just that's no way you're going to be successful flying birds in the heat all day. They tried it, and so that's the growth,
Ape is not for
but we've
birds.
got we get along real well. We had a couple riffs, with our old clubs and just infighting and just people that just taking the fun out of it. And, but no, we've got a good group of guys. It's just not growing any. And we've lost a couple of good guys, that just aren't able to fly birds. So that's the challenge, is keeping the growth, and have more local flies. Again, as soon as it, mostly the challenge for me over the years is I've always had old bird holdover teams, and very few other people here do, so I have to wait as late in the year as possible for these guys to be ready to fly. My old bird kit's ready in May, June, July, but I've got to wait till October, November, and then that's when the falcon is worse. Typically out here, it's been the opposite. This year was terrible. So yeah, it's tough, but again, everybody has the birds for their own reason. And then people get frustrated. Oh, he didn't go on all the fly, or he didn't come to this event, well, you have your event and you can't meet everybody's schedule, and the people come that come, and as long as you keep having fun, that's the goal. So we had very little infighting, if really none, actually, the last couple seasons.
How far is it from Phoenix to Vegas? Offhand?
I think it's about 3.5 hours or 4, something like that.
Three
It's
and a
not as
half
far as I
hours.
thought it was. Yeah. Wasn't as bad as I thought it was. I think it's about 3, depending on how fast you want to drive, so well, Arizona wanted to challenge us. They were going on the internet with Marlin, talking smack back and forth. We got a challenge. Oh, well, you don't have enough guys to fly. I guess on. And that's when I just picked up the phone and said, I called out Davis. And I said, hey, let's do a fellowship fly. We'll compete against the other, but it's a fellowship thing. We'll have an annual. So we just, okay, and we started doing it. It's been fun. We all know each other, so that most of us know each other well from the years. And they're an OBS club. That's why it's mostly the older guys. They're not going to put up with it's not always the younger guys, but the people that haven't learned yet, or unfortunately, some people aren't having fun in the hobby for whatever reason. So the only way they're happy is by trying to make the other people miserable, and those are the people that you want to weed out. And then there's people in areas that didn't have good leadership, and so you try to bring them back in, and and they see, hey, you're having fun, and they're trying to do this fairly. And if you're having fun, then they start coming around, and we don't exclude anybody. There's no blackballs in our club. They're welcome to come, and as long as you have fun and are respectful, and that's what a hobby's supposed to be about. It's not a sport. Some people think it is because of the competition, but it's really a hobby.
Well, we're coming up against the clock here, but real quick, where's the convention, the N.B.R.C convention, going to be at this coming year?
It's in Columbus, Ohio. It's September, I think it's the 13th, 14th, 15th, that weekend. So it's in Columbus, Ohio. We have a huge participation rate. I mean, before I could even get in the bulletin, they had already booked up the room block and had to extend that. I think we had to get a third bus. So it looked like it's going to be the biggest attended convention ever. It sounds like.
Wow.
So looking forward to that. Yeah, they're doing a good job, and the interest has just been. I think part of it because we haven't been back on that side of the country past Texas for a number of years now. At a convention, they're fun. I really hadn't been going to them, and until I became president, and I wish I had went to more earlier because it's just they're great events, to go to. Like 90 rooms blocked for each night, which is by far more rooms than, and most of those, are double occupancy. So yeah, we're going to have looks like a huge crowd there. Hopefully finding a hotel that can support the group getting larger is always a challenge too, and the cost, but it's a great event. I used to think the National Fly was the premier event, but it's really the convention. Yeah, a lot of people, you see them every year at the convention, and then you don't see them till the next convention, so.
Yeah.
And then of course you get to meet the local group, gets to feature themselves. So it's really a great event. I recommend everybody at least try to go to one when they can.
Well, if anybody has any articles on roller pigeons, or like he's saying, anything roller pigeon related, shoot them over to Don Macauley. You can find him on Facebook and get in touch with him there. Give him some articles for the N.B.R.C. And for all the listeners here in the States, consider joining it if you're into roller pigeons. There's not. I was talking to Dave Henderson about this. I've never been able to find, like, they got Racing Pigeon Digest and Purebred Pigeon for the fancy, but I guess the only real publication you'll get as a roller guy is if you join the N.B.R.C and get your bulletin.
Yeah.
I know Henderson has some, he has his own books that he does on Amazon, but as far as a print monthly thing, I don't know of any.
No, there used to be the Roller Journal that David Gerke used to do years ago. And QSDC magazine came out in Southern California, Bobby Wilson, and that was great for a while. And then it sort of, things happened and it sort of fell by the wayside, and he's trying to rejuvenate that. I see, and the big thing with that, it was just a lot of photos, and the content wasn't anything different than the N.B.R.C really, but it was color, and I pushed for color for a while because I say, hey, when somebody opens their mailbox and they, wow, look, here's a color bulletin, that's a big physical change, but you also have to have the content too, so but we were finally able to get some color in there. And I like Danny Sturgeon is a workhorse, secretary treasurer, runs those auctions, the store, just he's a savior for the N.B.R.C, and he's just definitely got my vote for the Hall of Fame. And if without a guy like him, people don't realize the financial situation the club was in not that far back, and he's really stabilized that and let us allow to do things like put some color in the bulletin without raising the dues, So John Kelly and Dan Galarza is the big PR guy. That's his thing. And they're doing a great job, which is good for me because I'm not really a social media guy. I do have to pay attention to Facebook if I want to be publishing editor. That's just the way of the world. So yeah, you can send me your stuff there. Send me your stuff there. I'm checking it more often, so, and yeah, anything you want to send it, and we'll get it in there,
So. And you can check out the website, the nbrc.us, and you can get all the information on it from there and everything else. So Don, thanks for coming on and talking with us, and good luck with your current flies. And
all right, yeah, well, I appreciate you having me on, and it's not about the birds, it's the fellowship. Without the fellowship, the birds mean nothing. And it took me a while to figure that out, but I've got it figured out. Just support each other and have fun and spread the word like you guys are doing. I appreciate that.
That's all we're trying to do. We appreciate you, Don. Thank you very much.